Our relationship feels like a yo-yo after betrayal. How long do I keep doing this?
It's a good one today, Brannon.
Yeah. Um, should be interesting to dive into this. So, how are you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Got one of my daughters coming home from her summer job in Alaska today, so I got to go pick her up from the airport and hear all of her stories, so I'm excited about that.
So is Lex still up there? What's the plan?
Lexi's staying for a little bit longer. They have one more kind of peak season up there way late in the season, and she's staying as long as she can to help them before her college starts again. So, but
Nice.
Brindley's already missed some high school stuff, so she's gonna be kind of right behind the eight ball when she lands today. So
Yeah. What
it'll
were they
be
doing up there? Like wrestling grizzly bears or something?
no, it's just it's basically just a fishing lodge that's open through the summer for all the the salmon and the rainbow trout in the river and stuff. And they just do all the hospitality staff and then the odds and ends jobs. So they do the housekeeping, they do the restaurant work, and then they also kind of help out with like side projects around the house during the
Nice.
daytime. So
Nice.
just kind of straight grunt labor. It's great for them.
Hey, have you ever heard of a Pizzly bear?
Oh no.
What?
I don't even know. I don't know if I want the explanation.
No, no, this is actually a real thing. I'm not making anything up. It's
Okay.
a like you can Google it. It's a grizzly and a polar bear mate with each other and they create a Pizzly bear, and it's like the meanest thing ever.
I've heard that sometimes people call those um some people call those spirit bears as well.
Oh, a spirit bear that will rip your head off?
Like, apparently. So
Okay. Nice. Well, maybe we should go up to like wherever those are. We should see one in the wild.
that'd be pretty
Put
cool,
that
man.
on the bucket list. Let's go do that
There we
together.
go. The top
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get down to business here with Jordan. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Um, from Pizzly Bears to talking about relationships.
Betrayal.
So, yeah. Jordan, if you could give a little bit of background, tell us what's been going on with you, and we'll just go from there.
Sure. So I'll just give you kind of the Cliff Note version of everything. So my wife and I have been together for 12 years now, married for 7 years, and we have two kids together. It's been kind of up and down through our whole relationship. We've just had a lot of uh, struggles, um, but we've never, we've always maintained like that fidelity aspect of marriage, and we've never done anything to betray each other. And uh a few years ago we moved back home, and my brother and I actually decided to start our own business. And uh man, I'm trying to just keep it short here. I know we're limited on time, so I'm trying to
You're
keep it.
okay, Jordan. Just keep going.
Yeah, so we started our own business, and my wife works as a nurse. And so while I was growing my business, she started taking on travel assignments all over the United States. And while we had two kids at home, and so I took care of most of those duties while she traveled. And so over time, she started taking assignments closer to home. And I actually worked as a nurse as well. And so whenever I started my own business, I decided to take a step back from nursing. And part of me became resentful for that. And I was just almost jealous of the life path that Aaron was on. I think I held a lot of resentment in my heart. And so over time, it got progressively worse. Aaron and I, we stopped communicating as much. The intimacy kind of was lacking. And on one of her travel assignments, she decided to step out of our marriage and ended up talking to somebody that she worked with. And without giving too many details, I got physical, and I found out um, back in February. So it's been about 6 months now. And uh, through the process of finding out, there was a lot of trickle truthing, I guess you could call it. I got some details, but it wasn't the whole truth. And um, through more of like a deep dive, I found out more and more over time, and then I questioned her and got more truth, and then some more lying, and then more truth. And um, over the last 6 months, I feel like I've got the whole truth. But um, what I kind of filled you guys in on was, I feel like when I found out about a month in, I started doing work on myself, and I started listening to podcasts and journaling and doing a lot of praying and just trying to figure out like what the root cause of the problem was. And I realized that there was deeper issues in our marriage than I wanted to see. And so I realized that while there's no excuse for stepping out of the marriage and infidelity, um, part of the issue lied with me. And so I decided to look at myself in the mirror and point the finger back at myself and say, okay, what did I do that didn't allow her to feel loved the way she needed to feel loved, and ultimately led to all of this happening? And so I realized that again, I was resentful and not communicating with her, not loving her the way she needed to be loved, not making her feel that way. And so I admitted that to her. I apologized, and I told her there was no excuse, obviously, for what happened, but I was willing to take accountability for my 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 lack of action, I guess you could call it, in our marriage. And so I felt like I was doing a ton of work, and over this time, um, I feel like she hasn't been doing the work necessary to help herself. And I I think it comes from a place of guilt and shame. And we've had that discussion. And so, but through all of this, I know, like I said, a couple of your podcasts ago, you talk about when the betrayed partner can come into conversation and hold space for having healthy conversation about what happened, uh, um, and doing it from a place of like love, like the way I've tried to do over and over. Um, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to connect, and that's really what I've done. And I actually had her listen to that podcast as well. And it just seems like every time I try to connect with her and to talk through things, and whether it's just like her being there for me, like not really even saying anything, but just like showing up and being there and like allowing me to feel my feelings, like that doesn't happen. And she just like, stonewall. She just doesn't talk. She looks down. She looks like she's ashamed. And every time this happens, I take a step backwards. I feel like the harder I try, like the more I try, it just doesn't do any good. And it started to make me feel like she almost doesn't care to work on herself. And so I brought this up to her, and she told me that she like this is like a week ago, told me that she was going to counseling, and she started therapy. And I asked her, I was like, so why didn't you tell me that? Like that, hearing that would have helped me. You know, it would have showed me that you cared to do something. And she told me that, it's because it was for herself, and that she didn't need me to know, because she didn't want me questioning who it was with, or things like that, or um, if it didn't work out with this therapist, like why didn't it work out? And I said those are thoughts that you're putting in your own head. Like I'm not here to question you. I'm not here to ask you who it's with. Like I don't feel like I've put those thoughts in your head. And um and I told her I understand. Like I totally understand the logic behind that. Like I feel like she's coming from a place of like, as soon as I hear that, I'm going to be hopeful or asking a million questions. And I mean, I see the logic in that, and I know I'm calling it kind of all over the place, but that's really the background of like where we're at now, and just to try to bring you guys up to speed. it's a lot to process, and I'm trying to keep it short, but that's really what's going on with us. And so again, now I'm in this place where I feel like it's hard for me to do the work and show up in our marriage, giving her, because one more thing really quickly, whenever all this started, I really showed up. I was so present, and I, I pursued her every day and had these conversations with her, and she almost like did show up in a way. Like she did actually listen, and I don't know if that's because all this was more fresh and she didn't really have time to process her feelings. I feel like now maybe she's processed her feelings a little more, and that's why she feels more guilt and shame. Maybe she allowed me to feel my feelings and kind of buried hers for a while, and now that I'm doing better, she's maybe bringing her feelings up to the surface, and now she's feeling all of it. I don't really know, but I'm just having a hard time continuing to show up in our marriage, and she feels that, um, and so we're almost to a point now where since I'm having a hard time showing up for her, she's having a hard time showing up for me. It's hard for her to continue to like give me what I need to feel loved in this marriage, and we're in this constant battle now almost where it's like it's a cycle. It's where I show up, nothing works, I step back, and I feel like I'm just gonna not try as much anymore, and she feels that, so she doesn't want to show up necessarily, either. I guess I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
I think it makes sense to me. I just want to make sure I understand it in a really succinct way of what I think you're saying is things blew up. After they blew up, you started looking around, and part of you started looking in the mirror and saying, I got to figure some of my stuff out, and I'm willing to take accountability for whatever my parts were in the relationship, even though I'm not going to take ownership for her choices.
Totally.
Well, that all sounds actually really good to me. Solid recovery work right off the bat. Part of my recovery work is that I want to try to show up as the kind of partner that can be honest, empathetic, lean in, even though sometimes that's hard for me. I'm going to do that. And then when I do that, I'm met from a place of stonewalling.
Totally.
And then that stonewalling causes me to have a snapback reaction where then I pull away. And then when I pull away, it's like it's almost like you guys are playing a game of like shame tag, where whoever's in the shame is the one that's going to pull away the furthest. And then when it gets so far away that you guys are like looking at maybe the relationship breaking, then one or both of you, sounds like you a lot of the time, will then reapproach it because you don't want to risk what could happen if you both stay at the standstill of not having any connection.
Totally.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. And that's hard because it's like it's that snap back and forth. It's like it feels like it can be it's often part of the process of trying to rebuild safety and trust in a relationship to have a little bit of that happening. And at the
Hmm.
same time, it's like it's taking a big block of ice and dropping it on the concrete. And at first it just makes a little crack, and then it makes a bigger cracks, and then makes starts taking chips, and eventually once you drop it, finally it kind of like shatters and explodes. And it's like a race of how quickly can we start to repair things individually and between us before we've dropped it too many times, and it's gonna be really hard to put it back together.
Yeah, and I'm starting to feel like those stress cracks, I guess you could say metaphorically. I'm starting to feel that like where it's getting ready to come apart, and so that's where I'm at
What
now.
what you say like you've kind of turned inward and done your own work.
Yeah.
What have you discovered? What work have you done? What has helped you?
So yeah, to back up, uh, when all of this started, we started going to marriage counseling like right away, like a couple days after it happened. We actually were going on a trip to Hawaii and then had to go to a wedding in Vegas like that week. And so I was like, I'm not going. I'm not going. And then I was like, okay, the only way we're going is if we start going to therapy and trying to like do something before we go because I'm not going now. And so we started going to therapy, um, communicating with a therapist and having discussions there, and it was kind of helping. But I think through that process, I was trying to rely on my wife to make me feel better through all of this. And it was only making it worse for me. I only started falling into a deeper depression. I started having intrusive thoughts about hurting myself. And, it got, and it's like, I never, as, to be completely like, just brutally honest with you guys, like as a parent with two kids, like that's I always thought that was something I would never think. And then it did, that thought happened. And I'm like, man, this would just be so much easier if I just didn't feel this pain anymore. And so I was like, I got to do, and so I immediately was like, I need help. So called, got a primary care doctor, got some medicine. So that helped some, helped me just feel better. But I realized like there was a lot more work that needed to be done, and I couldn't rely on my wife when she's the one who stepped out of the marriage to make me feel better, even though I was trying so hard.
Right.
So that's when I started like looking at like what my triggers were. And I realized that some of the music I was listening to, I would subconsciously like listen to the lyrics, and it was very triggering for me. So I started listening to more uplifting music, more positive music, whatever genre I wanted to, but like things that had like healthy lyrics. That was like the first thing I did. And then I started going back to church. That was really nice. Took the kids to church, and that was great. Just me personally, I'm a Christian, and so I found that as a good source of strength for me. And spent a lot of time in prayer, and then through all of that, I started realizing that like it wasn't working as well. That was maybe a couple weeks later, like just the music thing. I mean, like I was like, okay, the songs are kind of getting old. Let's see what else I can do to kind of help myself. And so that's when I was like, hey, I like podcasts. Let's start listening to podcasts. And I found you guys and a couple others, and I've loved your guys' podcast. And so that helped me a lot. Kind of just take a different approach and a healthy approach to all of this, and listen to several topics on just infidelity, whether it's for the betraying partner, for whether it's for the betrayed partner, just getting like the psychology behind all of it and understanding more of like maybe why my wife did what she did. That helped. And then again, like that, just there's two parts of there's two sides, and it's I'm part of that equation, and so again, never taking accountability for what happened. I'm never going to blame myself for that, but I did realize like, hey, maybe there's something that I wasn't doing in our marriage, that I wasn't showing up in a way that I needed to. And so those are really the things that I've done over the last 6 months to help myself.
Is
So
Jordan, is this is a random question, but
yeah.
is divorce an option?
Um, immediately, absolutely it was. Uh, and then I told myself, absolutely not, absolutely not, absolutely not. And anymore, I don't know. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be. Like there's no option B. I don't know. Like there's nobody else, and that's not what you're asking, but like it's either, you know, we're a family unit, or it's just I live for my kids. That's really like my options. I don't really know if I would call divorce an option, but I know that at this point in time, I'm tired of hurting, and I just want to protect myself as much as possible.
Um, what? Let's put the two things that I asked you together and see if.
Yeah.
So I asked you basically what are you doing with your own work,
Hmm.
and is divorce an option? What do those two questions have to do with each other? It's a riddle, I guess. But if you think about it, what do those two things have to do with each other?
Helping myself.
Yeah,
It's a Brandon, it's a little bit of a paradox, and I don't know if this is where you're going or not.
I think it is. Yeah.
But the quest those two questions together are the more that I put my focus on trusting myself, not taking things personally, being shame resilient myself, the more risk there is that I actually outgrow my relationship and
Yeah.
might end up needing to end that relationship. And at the same time, it's also the thing that will buy me time to keep leaning into the relationship if I choose to do that.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have my shame resiliency, if I'm not doing my own work, if I'm still taking things too personally, shame will always be in the driver's seat. And then we'll be in this complete yo-yo game indefinitely.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Couples will match each other's level of emotional health. And so if one person starts to thrive and do a lot of work and those type of things, it can actually put the relationship at risk. And
It's
And
so
an
that's
then
where I feel
invitation
like
to
we are.
change.
Yeah. Yeah.
then it's this catch 22 of like, okay, so now I need to stay unhealthy to stay in my relationship. So do I choose the relationship or do I choose myself and doing my work and getting better? You know, and so and that friction can be an okay thing because it can call the other partner up if they're willing to come up, but sometimes it'll actually do the opposite. And so I believe I'm not an advocate for divorce, and yet I believe that it's healthy for divorce to be an option for every human being. Because if I'm getting abused, it's better for me to say I'm not going to get abused in my relationship. Like I will walk away. I have like it's an option because my boundaries and who I am and loving myself and my purpose is more important than my relationship. Like and that's actually good for a relationship, a healthy relationship.
Yeah. And that's,
Are you hearing
yeah.
me? Yeah.
No, totally. Totally. Absolutely. And that's what, and I've approached her about that several times, like, and, I know I've said almost that exact same like thing verbatim. Like just structuring our conversations like that. Like, like my own well-being, like I have to take care of myself. I have to show up for myself before I can show up for our marriage. And I've told her that several times. And the conversation we had the other night was and I expect the same for her too. And that's what I told her the other night was like, I kind of use like a kind of an immature phrase, but I was like, and I said it very calmly, but I was just it's like it's almost like my compass. Like I can it's pointing true north now, and I can kind of feel when things aren't going the right way, and it's almost like things I didn't really recognize before I recognize now, and I can really feel that from her. Like things aren't just really working right now, and I told her, again, kind of in a, I don't know, I felt like after I said it, it was kind of, I should have thought about the way I said it more, but I said, like, I said, well, I guess just let me know when you're ready to work on things, and she was like, well, what does that mean? And I said, it means exactly what I mean it to mean. It just means I'm willing to step away to give you the space you need to work on yourself. And then if you choose to want to be with me and I want to be with you, then that's it. But I'm comfortable giving you the space you need to work on yourself. And I just feel like that's really like where we're at right now. Like she just needs that space to work on herself. But when I bring that up, it's almost like I can tell that she doesn't want that to be the option. Um, but I'm not really sure how to like, I can't like force her to like do the work that she needs to do to help herself. Um,
Right.
that's kind of just, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense at all, but
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think that's why what Brannon's saying is so important is that if it's not an option, what happens if you go and invite your wife to do the change and she doesn't want to change? Then all of a sudden you're down to one less option on the table, and now you got to figure out how to not resent her and be happy and not get what you were hoping for in the relationship and stay.
yeah.
Which is okay. You can do that. There's a pathway to do that.
Hmm.
Um, but it's also but that it also limits your ability to then kind of do more invitation to the change of the system itself.
Totally. And that's like, I think, it's what's really stopping me, to be completely honest with you guys, what's really stopping me from making the decision that I know is probably the right decision, which is, you know, I don't want to call it divorce, but like just let's just say like not being around each other right now. Um, Giving each other space, really giving her the space that she needs to work on herself. What's stopping that is, we have a house together and bills and two kids, and animal like dogs, and it's just like I don't know how to navigate that. Like that's really the biggest struggle for me is, and what keeps me up at night is it's like I don't know how to navigate that. It's just there's a lot of layers involved. Our kids are in school, so there's just a lot of layers there. Like it's not as simple as like me and her and no responsibility except for work in an apartment. It's we have all of these bills and our children and our dogs. It's how do you navigate that? How do you decide, while we're not together or separated, um, who does what? How does that work? That's like the biggest thing for me.
I think it's really hard because it's not simple, and yet to ask yourself, you know, a lot of times there's an objective at play and there's a relationship at play
Hmm.
and your self-respect as well. And so these three things are kind of interplaying with each other. And so you just gave us the objective thing of like, well, I we have kids, we have dogs, or we have, like the objective of life is like it makes it easier to live this way. But the relationship over here is like um, you're not getting what you want from the relationship.
Hmm.
So you're like, well, I'll meet the objectives, and then we'll kind of let the relationship continue to flounder so we can meet these objectives, and all the while giving up some of your self-respect to make this work. And I think you got to ask yourself, you got to pull back and ask yourself, what are your priorities?
Yeah.
And also a lot of times where people get stuck is they fool themselves, where it's like, well, this is what is best for the kids, and it's
Yeah.
not what's best for the kids. It just happens to be the easier thing to do right now in this moment, so that you can avoid the pain of the reality of where things are actually at.
Yeah.
Um, but I say these things, and it's not easy answers, Jordan. It's like you got to really ask yourself, like, maybe you do give it some time and take some space from her. Don't get divorced tomorrow.
Yeah.
See what happens. Let this kind of sit and see where this goes before you make any real hard decisions. Um, and let these other things work themselves out as well. But if you have this thing where it's like, no matter what, I will stay together, then you will start to sacrifice your values and your truths and who you are again and again. And as
Totally.
you do your own individual work, your individual work's not going to work because on the back end of that, you are giving yourself away. You're showing up in fear and control versus showing up honestly, and open about who you are and trusting yourself. Do you see how that will undermine that?
I do. Yeah. And I think the other thing that, and yeah, it does make sense. And I think the other thing that she struggles with as well is like the years of disconnection. She's having a hard time working through that from what I'm hearing from her. And so it's like, to me, when all of this happened, when she stepped out of the marriage, in my head, I decided that our old marriage was dead. Our old life was dead. I killed it. I'm like, we're starting fresh, new foundation. We're rebuilding our house, metaphorically speaking. Like everything's new. The way we treat each other, the way we look at each other, the love we have for each other, like it's all new. I've decided that in my head. And for her, it's like right now, when I take a step back from her, she takes that as like, oh, Jordan is, not connecting with me the way I need him to connect with me. But in my head, it's like the reason I'm not connecting is because I'm still suffering in a way from what happened and then through all of this what we just talked about. So again, it's this cycle of like we're not meeting each other where we need to be met. And again, it's like her associating my feelings now with the past 12 years. And in reality, it's completely different. My feelings exist now for lots of different reasons. I want to love her. I want to connect with her.
I wonder if that would be a part of this while you're hanging into it. There's reasons to stay in the yo-yo and there's reasons to leave the yo-yo. And if the reasons to stay are there, then it's okay to do it a little bit. And what that means is, do I see a willingness and an effort in my partner to take a look at themselves, their own shame, their own relationship patterns, and then go to work on it and not expect perfection.
Yeah.
That's a reason to stay and do the yo-yo thing. And then if you're going to do that, then you can invite it to like get better when it's happening. So instead of going and having this conversation and she's saying something and you're like, but I'm not even getting my needs met right now, so I can't give you anything. Okay,
Hmm.
that's honest. But what if instead of that, you were able to say, hey, I'm noticing that our pattern is coming up right now, and it looks like you're really needing something, and I'm feeling like there's something that I don't have anything to draw from right now, but I want to.
Yeah.
Um, I might need to do some things to get something to draw from, and I'm still hurting because of this, this, and this. And then you're putting it back in her court. Now you're almost like pointing out the process as part of the work rather than getting stuck in this place of like, well, you're not meeting my needs, and I'm not meeting your needs, and bam, we're just hitting. It's like, yeah, of course not, because shame is in the way.
Sure.
And so, like, for instance, this is something my wife used to do all the time. She'd approach me with something, want to talk about it. And I would instantly kind of do what sounds like your wife does. I'd go into like shell mode. I'd just be like, "Ooh,
Yep.
I suck. I'm no good." Almost like drop all eye contact. Like
That's exactly what she does. She
you
looks
deserve
down.
somebody
Yeah.
better, all that stuff. And
Yep.
and my wife at first would be like, "Oh my gosh, like da 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 da," And then she started learning like, "Hey, like this is his process." And I see other parts of his life where he's trying to like change. She would just invite it back and say, hey, Tyler, I don't need you to shrink away right now. I need your presence, or I need you to listen. And if you can do that, I want to keep talking. And if not, then let's go get planted again. Like, go
Mm,
figure your stuff out so we can continue the conversation. Because I don't need you to disappear. I don't need you to shrink away. I don't need you to like get lost in your shame.
okay.
And that was almost like to me, it was like an invite into like, oh yeah, like I don't need to take this personally right now.
Hmm.
She's just here looking for a place to be met with some understanding and empathy,
Sure.
right? So you
Yep.
can
That makes sense.
invite that by bringing the process out rather than the needs thing,
Sure.
right?
Okay. It's good.
It's hard to do.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what you're dealing with too is like, I mean, she's still here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's still here. And so a lot of what you're dealing with, and you brought this up, is her own, and I don't know. I mean, she's not here talking to us right now,
Yeah.
but it's her own just shame and guilt and things like that. And it's really unfair to you when you've been betrayed that you have to be the patient one and
Yeah. The strong one.
the strong one, the kind one, right? But if you can be, then it will give her a chance to start to look within a little bit and start to
Yeah.
process some of that guilt, start to process some of that shame. When you go to, if you, like, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but if you go to drama or trying to force her or manipulate her into things, then she'll still feel that disconnect from you.
Sure.
So it's hard though, Jordan. You're in a tough position.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think the other night, whenever whenever I told her, I was like, look, you need the space. Like, I'll give you the space that you need to do your own work. I wasn't, and I told her that. I said, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I literally said that to her. I said, I'm not forcing you to do anything that you don't want to do. But I'm telling you, like, I'll give you the space. Like, and that's protecting myself. Like, that's to protect my own heart. Like, I can't do this anymore if this is how it's going to be. And that's when she brought up like the whole thing about how she started going to counseling. And I said, thank you. And I literally said, thank you for telling me that. Like, I appreciate you telling me that. Like, it was nice to hear that. So, but I told her that I'm never, anything I bring up, it's not from a place of judgment. It's not from a place of anger. It's not, it's just to, and yeah, I'm just kind of rambling now, but yeah, I've always given her the option. I've never made it like, this is the ultimatum. It's if you like I'm here to protect myself first.
Right. And that's the part that's like I even hear you in your process here understanding that it's like where it's coming from. That's where I'd start to try to start doing my dance more with the other person is in that
Hmm.
vulnerable realm of, Yeah, what help me understand why it's going into self protection right now? Because that's not what I was bringing up, and that's not what we need right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and again, you don't want to fall all the way into then caretaking it, right?
Right.
Because that's like getting sucked into the drama in a different way. But it's also like being able to acknowledge it, and then you can take that time out you need. Maybe it's not a full separation or divorce, but it's like, yeah, like, and the reason she probably doesn't like that you're like, hey, I'm gonna just take a break for a minute and let you figure your stuff out. And she's like, when you actually create that space, it's the invitation for her to have to step into that a little bit more, and she's not used to that because you've over pursued it.
Right.
But that's the gift, even though it's uncomfortable.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
It's tricky stuff, Jordan.
It
Uh,
is tricky. It's a
Yeah,
dance.
yeah, and
yeah.
yeah, and I know do you have like good support? Do you have friends? Do you have people you can talk to
I
that
do.
actually will like be honest with you? And
Yeah, I do. I got a few good guy friends that I talk to about a lot of this, and yeah, I do. I got a good support system.
that's good. Rely on them right now. You need support as you navigate this. Um,
I'd also say too, like I know that to you it feels like a lifetime or two or 10, but in the grand context, of things, 6 months is relatively still pretty fresh.
I hate to
Yeah.
see this. You're new at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that that's not fun to hear because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be living in this forever. I don't want you to either. But sometimes there's almost this like added suffering that gets put on you because you're like, I should be over this by now. Or I should make my decisions by now. I should have this figured out by now. And it's like, dang, if we're stepping into conversations about shame with each other and we're 6 months into this, we're actually probably right where we should be or even further ahead than a lot of people are. Um, but then there also needs to be the effort on the backside towards like, hey, we both need to figure out our shame resiliency, and here's what I'm doing, and I'd love to know what you're doing, and
Yeah.
letting like when your example, letting her know like I don't need to ask all the questions, and she probably maybe has worries about that because maybe you've done that before, maybe you've played 20 questions like over certain things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that
Um,
and yeah, and that's like the truth. I mean, I had like I had a lot of bad relationships before I met my wife, and I used to do that. I used to question her and about things, and she's like, "I'm not lying to you." And so now it's like when I and it's not like that anymore. Now it's like I think in my head it's like the worst of the worst has happened. So how much it can't be any worse. So now I'm to a point where I'm like, look, like the cards are on the table. Like I'm not judging you for anything. Like it almost was like a reset for me. I'm not thankful that it happened, but it like allowed me to just clear my head of any of my like it's almost like my worst nightmare happened. And so now it's like it's not really a dream anymore. Now it's not like, well, what if it happens? What if it happens? What if it happens? Maybe it did happen. It's like, okay, it happened, and this is how I feel now. Now I'm just moving forward. I'm working forward through this.
mhm.
And so now it's like when I ask questions, I'm not like asking 20 questions because like what if. It's like now I'm just asking questions because I want to build a relationship better than we've ever had. I want to work and grow with you and be with you. And it's like it was like I just hit a big red reset button for
that's
my own
the
life.
And I think that's it. Like, so when you go to her, number one, you're letting her know how much it means to you. If she would have just even let you know, and then she says, well, I didn't want to do it for you and I want to do it for
Yeah,
myself, which is a great answer. And she's like, I'm
totally.
also worried about you asking too many questions. Okay, that's fair. So here's the dialectic. You're right. Sometimes I've asked too many questions and it hasn't been helpful for either of us. And it still means a ton to me if I see you taking those efforts of your own fruition, that's like that's like medicine to my soul. That
It
gives me
is.
that gives me hope.
Yeah.
Right. So that kind of information is the kind of information that I really would love from you.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So you're inviting it while also kind of taking ownership for your part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
How are you feeling right now, Jordan?
Good. Good's relative, but good. I've enjoyed talking to you guys, and yeah, it's been good talking to you guys. So
Jordan,
I'm feeling hopeful.
You're a good man, willing to do your own work. I love people who are willing to look within.
It's not
And
every day we get a man who's been on the betrayed side of things to come on, so appreciate your willingness to come and do that today
Sure.
too.
yeah,
Sure.
I think it shows that you're searching for answers for yourself. And the journey is it's always ongoing. you're in a state right now of where it's pretty painful, and it's not going to be this painful forever if you're willing to actually step in and do this work.
Yeah.
Some things might shift and change in your life in different directions, but you will start to feel more peace as long as you're willing to work through that pain. So I really appreciate you coming on today.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy I did.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on your heart today, Jordan?
Um, Not really. Not really. I hope I can do another call with you guys down the road and give you an update on what's going on with
We'd
this.
love to
And
have you back.
yeah,
Please, man. Yeah, go on and book another one a few months out from now. We'd love
okay.
to get some snapshots of your work, and it sounds like you've already got a really good kind of plan going in place. But you'd also, I would think, just hearing you and where you're at, like you would really benefit from the healing journey as well, which you're probably doing a lot of in other formats.
Sure.
So anyway, it
That's
was. Go ahead, Brandon.
well. I was just gonna say that's our program over at Reclaim Your Heart, and it would be exactly something that would be really helpful for you in your own individual work.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Jordan. Thanks for coming on. And thank you to our listeners for being here. If Jordan's story rings a bell for you, you can shout out to him with the review at any of the podcast formats. You can send questions or you could send even some feedback our way at therapybrothers.org. And thank you all for being here with us. And until next time, keep on keeping on.